if you heard the question.
Well, if you could just repeat the main point again quickly.
Well, the point was that the rebels have said that they're willing to negotiate a truce, a temporary one, possibly with the government, but they will not lay down their arms. Now, does this mean that they're in a stronger position as already perceived by the government, or is it the other way around?
Well, I'm not sure whether they're stronger or weaker. I mean, I think the question of laying down arms is something that we dealt with in Northern Ireland, and it is something that an army that has fought a resistance war for a long time, such as, and certainly in a more militarised form than the Irish, than the IRA, is always going to be reluctant to lay down its weapons. That's not usually part of a ceasefire. And the trouble is that the demands on both sides are very extreme, even in the long term. So secessionism, for example, is something which would have to be debated and is not debatable at the minute. But in the short term, of course, the Sri Lankan government feel that a ceasefire will militarily benefit the Tigers and therefore don't want to agree to it. But the problem is that the humanitarian situation there is getting so bad that they are in danger of committing, or they are already committing, war crimes in pursuit of their military aims, and that is a crime. And of course they have to consider that eventually, sooner or later, if you commit international war crimes, then you may be arrested or there may be an international warrant out for you. And I do think Sri Lankan ministers and military and police officials should at least bear that in mind.
Jen, clearly you're a Sri Lankan living overseas. Now, recently the government has stepped up its measures to even crack down on Sri Lankan diaspora living abroad. Now, do you think this recent spate of attacks on the diaspora, who are perceived to be still financially funding the LTTE, this linkage can really be severed?
May I just correct you there first? I'm not a Sri Lankan living abroad. I renounced my Sri Lankan passport quite some time ago. I'm British, and I'm also Tamil. And there is we do not know, the Tamil diaspora in Britain is what you're talking about.
Exactly.
And yes, they are trying to crack down. Yes, they are trying to crack down, and they've been threatening them. They certainly send people to disrupt and make violent the protests. They do various things. But, you know, at the end of the day, we have significant numbers in Britain, and this is a free country, so I'm grateful for that.
Okay, and Hugo, again, let me come to you. We only have less than 2 minutes left. Now, tell me about the future of the conflict. Is there a non-military approach even conceivable, and what's the road to getting there, really?
There is always a non-military approach. There are usually back channels of various sorts, and they should always remain open. I have long campaigned for the fact the LTTE should not be a prescribed organisation, as a prescribed terrorist organisation. This is a phenomenon which has started in 1990 and has been going on for 15 years. The problem with prescribing organisations as being terrorist and therefore, as it were, beyond the pale, means that you limit the chance of dialogue. And I really do think, extraordinary though it may seem, as it were, at the point of this military victory, if there is one, the most helpful thing the international community can do is to a certain extent, legitimise the LTTE, or at least not declare them terrorist, so that there can then be discussions. Because even if there is a military victory, there are many groups represented by the Tamils, but the Tigers in particular are one of those who will have to be brought into the peace process sooner or later.
Cahelia, 1 minute left. This is the final question, goes to you. Now, do you agree that the main obstacle to a peaceful solution to this crisis and conflict is the fact that the very framework of this conflict has been wrongly put, portraying these people, the separatists, as terrorists? Now, how do you see that changing?
You see, this is not that is just
it should, and
we have had to experience talking peace with LTT and this terrorist organization, and every time that we have had peace, negotiations and ceasefire, it has ended up with a huge calamity to its people and the sovereignty of the country and its own people. Today what we're trying to do is to in fact bring peace into the country and make peace between the Tamil people in the first place. Because right now, if you see, over the 30 years experiences that various leaders from time to time...
Cahelia, this is the end, all the time we have. A big thank you to the guests for their appearance and to you for watching us. You can write to us through the email address and tell us what's on your mind. And for more information, you can go to our website. But this show will return. Until then, it's goodbye from me, Zubin Zarvan.